How is everyone doing? This is episode 36 of Sit Down with Sniper. And today we have someone who I feel has been in the space for a long time, someone who is an amazing woman, and she goes by Swickie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. So, I've seen you in the space before I got into it, and I was part of, the X marks the drop, and we'll talk about that with Kiki the Ape. I've seen NFT BA. I've seen so many things through this space that you've done. We have mutual friends. So I'm really happy to jump into what you've been doing, what you're doing currently, and how you got into the space. So I guess to start it all off, how long have you been into crypto?
I haven't been into crypto long. I joined NFTs, which, exposed me actually to crypto on my own in March of 2021. My partner was already like into crypto and doing his own thing, but I just like really didn't want to like get into it because I was like, oh, I don't know, like that feels kind of like, gambling away money, and I'm not sure that I'm ready for that. And then I just like jumped into Top Shot and I'm like, well, here we are. I'm totally gambling money. And so it just kind of like honestly happened in such a weird way. I have a Coachella group of people that we always go to, and we roll pretty deep when we go to Coachella. And they know that I'm really into the NBA. And a couple of them, like 2 days before the rare pack drop in March, were like, hey, like, do you know anything about NBA Top Shot? Do you want to join? I was like, I don't know. So they were texting me like 5 minutes before the queue opened. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, I think it was only like $50 or $20 or something like that. And I was like, all right, well, I'll try it. So then I hit a rare Bradley Beal. And it was like, I think it was even might have been like a low cereal. And I just was hooked after that. So I created like a Twitter. And by the way, I've been on Twitter for like 14 years or something crazy like that on my personal account. So I created a new Twitter strictly for the purpose of like joining the giveaways. And it was really fun back then because back then you really could like, win pretty cool stuff, and everybody was just really welcoming. I had a really great time with that. So, as a couple months went by, I started getting pretty comfortable and I got a Z horse. Um, so I raced that. It was like a $200 starter horse from Doofy. Do you remember Doofy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Yes, I
right. So
do.
so he was like in his phase where he was like, you know what, I want to like onboard a bunch of people and I've got all these horses. And honest to God, that horse still gets like really pretty good offers to this day because its grandparents are like such great racers, but he's a shit racer. And of course, Doofy names all of his horses like weird shit. Like mine was Dixie Wrecked. So my first horse is like this vulgar, horrible name that my partner is like, why would they name the horse that? I'm like, I don't know, but it's funny. So yeah, it was a really good time. And then through that, a couple of people that I befriended had the Top Shot Seals Discord, which I don't know if you remember that.
Hmm.
Um, so, so I befriended like Girl Dad, Deconomist, like all of these Top Shot players who like I at the time just had no idea like what I was getting into. And then the Discord started buying Bored Apes. And so I'm like in this phase of my life where like my actual personal life is like kind of like going through a thing, and I'm like at my newly found biological sister's home in the middle of the night, and I'm getting pinged to like buy this BAYC. And so I'm like, I don't know, 250 bucks. That's a lot of money for an ape, a picture of an ape. Like, what is this going to do for me type thing? So I thought about it. My friend's like, you know what? It's LeBoard James is the one who really was like, you need to do this.
I remember
Just
him.
do it. Just do it. So I was like, all right. Like I bought the ape. And then, at the time, like the FOMO, the clicking down of like the countdown of like how many are left. And I'm like, oh, I got to get a couple more then if like everybody's trying to get them tonight. I didn't even make it. Like it just sold out literally like right after I got my first Bored Ape. So it was pretty interesting because that was a Saturday, I think, or Friday. And I told my new biological sister about it. And she and I kind of like bonded over that little moment. And then on my way to the airport, I guess it was Sunday, I heard the Clubhouse. And listening to the Clubhouse, I first of all like really never listened to Clubhouses because I just thought they were like major circle jerks. But I could tell that they were really into this project and there was something really different about them, more different than all the rest of the people who were doing projects in the space at the time. So I don't know. It was just kind of like it caught my attention, and I thought it was super fun that they were giving people IP rights, and I just kind of ran with it.
I love
So
that.
that's how that all started. Yeah.
I for one am so jealous. Everyone that has gotten, I would say 90% of the people that have been on this podcast, including the economist, because I'm pretty sure that's economist now who works over at Pixel Vault. And
Yes.
yes, great guy. And everyone says how they started at Top Shot, Myself, I started at Top Shot, and I always thought I was a little early to NFT Twitter, but I missed the Clubhouse days. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
started with a Z horse and thought to myself, what the hell is a Bored Ape gonna do? Like that's not I can't race this Bored Ape. Like it's not gonna
Right.
get me past. So I actually did miss the ape train, and it was so devastating. Literally everything I did incorrect, you did correct, and it's so funny. I started Top Shot, tried to go from there, transition into NFTs, and it worked, but totally missed the good BAYC era. Got myself a nice Z horse, and I was in there forever, and it was super fun. But back then, I mean, you could do giveaways, and I wouldn't have to worry about if the person was going to drain my wallet if they're sending me a horse or a Top Shot moment. And there for a while, Top Shot was booming. I'll never forget the day that all my friends, I was like, "Yo, bro, we all like basketball. We're young 20s. Like, yo, man, let's hop into this. Like, get a couple packs. Like, they're cheap." And this is at the time, like, I think the first round of like really rare ones had already sold out, but everyone was hopping on the trend. And all my friends got like commons. We all got commons, nothing crazy. And they were like, bro, I'm done with this. Like, can I just send you my moments? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's fun because I collect cards. And so I kind of just looked at it like that. And whenever they sent me all their moments, I think the next day is whenever they did all the commons to like legendary or something, like where they like capped them or something like that. Oh man, the prices went up on every single cards that you were getting for $1 or $3 or $4 or five. My friends were sick. They were like, "Yo, you think you could send me that LeBron James back by the way? That's like $200 right now." I was like, "Yeah, it's gone." I just funded my whole
You're
NFT
like, you
career.
cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the Kevin Durant's were going for crazy money. I remember that's when he was at Brooklyn. It was a really
Yeah.
super fun time, but so many people started there, and I know you had a lot of success with it. Now we jump over to BAYC, and you got your one. Um, Now it's funny that we mentioned Economist because he's now at Pixel Vault. Now I'm trying to think of how it went
Hmm.
correctly. I'm not in the BAYC community, so did they run a poll for who could be on these covers coming up, or how were the people picked to be on the covers? I never really quite understood that.
Yeah. So Pixel Vault. So the ape that I minted is not the ape that got
Oh,
into the Pixel Vault final rounds. Because what happened was that actually Deconomist Girl Dad and I and Labor James and just like a bunch of other people, we all bought land in Sandbox. So we were known back then as like real estates, right? And yeah, so we thought it would be really fun. And like I think Ding has a like an entire plot behind us, and then BAYC ended up buying like the place across the street type thing. So I feel like there was just like a lot of momentum happening, and I was in a bunch of different discords including Ghosts, and I had been in Ghosts for probably as long as it was open, maybe a couple weeks after, but I was really close with Franklin at the time. um, and he's still my guy. Like I always call him Kiki's, her first dad, or we co-parent. Um, so it's funny because he knew that I was shopping around for a lady ape, and he was like, "Well, I have a bunch. Just like look through and see if you like anything." So I saw Kiki, and right away I was like, "I love her. She's clean. She's got the bone necklace, the pink hair. Like, she just looked so cute." And I was like, on top of it, I think I could win Pixel Vault like contest with her. So what happened was that Pixel Vault had a bracket, just like sports, and they basically started with so many apes, and then came down to 64. Did the whole like division down exponential. So it was an interesting time because there were a lot of like political dynamics and like gender dynamics at play. Like there were people who would like message me and be like, "Oh, hey, the guy that's opposing you right now, like he's trying to pay people to like vote for him." And I'm like, "Well, it's not illegal. Like there's nothing that I could do about it. Like you could just not do it." But what is even funnier is the very last round that I was in. He messaged me and he was like, "For the sake of women's equality, I'm going to bow out of the race," except I was already winning. And so I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," because he was like, "There's a lot of my male ape friends out there who are just making me sick to my stomach. They're telling me that I shouldn't let this go, but I'm going to bow out." And I said, "I would really like you to stay in the race.
Right.
Let me beat you fair and square." And actually what happened is like nobody really paid attention. He wrote this like long thread about it, right? And like in writing this thread, all of my friends were like, "Just ignore it. Like don't even give it any likes or any time of day or anything like that." And he never got really much engagement out of it. And then my friends made sure, like, because they're streamers like Jen Sudo, Steph Sudo, they were like, "We're not just going to win, we're going to bury him." I've actually never told that story before, so that's funny. But yeah, we won by a landslide, and I was really proud of myself. But I think what's fun about Kiki is I think that she actually means much more to people than the outsider would think. Like if you really weren't in this world or weren't paying attention, or even a friend of mine, I think it would be really easy to gloss over Kiki because it's just like, oh, just another ape making merch, just another ape doing this. But actually, like, I think Kiki really symbolized something during that time because of that experience, because there aren't very many women owned female apes out there that especially at the time, that were willing to put themselves out there, because it was tough in the Twitter streets back then.
Oh, yes, it was.
For yeah, I mean it's tough now too in a different way, but back then there weren't a lot of girls. And I really exposed myself and opened myself up to a lot of things. So I just saw the weirdest stuff go on in my DMs. But honestly, like, none of it means anything because we're here now, and like all of that really toughened me up to get to where I'm at with Kiki, and I don't regret a thing. I think everything from good to bad that's happened up until this point has really shed light on who Kiki is in the community now, and she is separate from me, and people will be like, "How's Kiki doing?" I just think that's so funny. And I'm just really grateful for all of the people who like have been uplifting during the whole thing. It's been really cool.
That's super sick. And I like to hear that. And you're right. There's not many. I know for Bored Apes, the only two women that I know that actually I've seen rock their Bored Ape are you and my friend Hawkward. Besides those two, there's not many.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many women in the space that I've seen represent them. And I know that it's hard in this space, especially back then. It was reckless. People, and it's. I talked about this with Mike Mongo. It's very easy to hide behind Twitter and say these things to a woman, a man, anyone, a human, and not have to face any repercussion, because these men would not walk up to you in person and speak like this. I sure hope they wouldn't. But I love that Kiki has this story. I didn't know Kiki has such a cool story behind her. That makes me want to pick up one of the covers. So you did win, and y'all, like you said, you won by a landslide, and you were on the cover. It was you, Tropo, some other people. I can't even remember who all was on there. But what was it like?
Yeah, Schiller.
Yeah, Schiller.
It was a cool experience. Because this is like uncharted territory, a lot of what we expected to happen didn't happen, and a lot of like cool things happened too. And it was just like this roller coaster of emotions. I think the biggest thing to remember during this time is like we went from, hey, you're Elite Apes and you're gonna make a cameo in this issue, to hey, all of a sudden you're like in an Adidas like comic book done by Pixel Vault. And although it's not like what we agreed to do, like who's going to really be upset that, they're in this historic piece of NFT that's really like, propelling NFTs forward? Because I feel like, first of all, this is the first time where licensing was quite a pretty penny. I mean, it wasn't like we made peanuts on this deal. Like, it was a really hefty deal for us. And on top of that, it was exposure with like normie world, Adidas culture. And then on top of that, it's like you suddenly have this like community of people. So I have 750 covers, but then I also have like my Kiki merch people. So, in NFT, I have like maybe 1,200 Team Kiki people, right? And then the countless people who support and do stuff with us. So the cover, a lot of people don't actually know this. The cover, I've token gated for many, many opportunities for them. If you own a cover, you can go into the Pixel Vault channel, and I just have like this week alone, I think I did like 4 giveaways or something like that, or 4
Damn.
ALs. Yeah, so I try to keep up with that as much as I can, because first of all, like these are the people that really supported me and took me to the next level in NFT. So I really do like work hard to keep them, rewarded in that way. And I'm not saying that, because AL isn't everything, right? Like
Right.
I don't think that they should expect like other Elite Apes to do that. I enjoy that, and if opportunities come my way, like I will do that for them. But I am looking into a lot of stuff right now, like, how to utilize these NFTs in real life. Like, I would love for my Kiki supporters, the people who have the covers, to walk up to like Yogurtland or like Menchie's and be like, get 15% off,
That'd be
like,
awesome.
so these are the types of things. That's what I'm working on right now, like, along with the other stuff. But,
Right.
for me, like the in real world utility is the thing that's really going to take that to the next step. So that's what I'm like focused on.
I like that. And I like for one, I respect and applaud you as a businesswoman, because you're always making the next step to try to give back. And I like that you don't use it as a selling point. You're not constantly making tweets like, oh yeah, if you go buy my cover, then, I'm doing allow list all the time. You're not out there doing that. It's just something that comes with it, something that you're giving back for the ones that do genuinely support you. And they're like, damn, not only am I supporting Swickie because I genuinely like her, she's giving back to us a lot. That's crazy. And it makes it's a genuine connection. I love that. And I mean, there's tons of things that we can talk about, because you've been in this space. I feel like you're a figure that's not only made a lot of the correct moves, you've connected yourself with a lot of people in this space. We've mentioned Ding, we've mentioned BAYC, and people that have been around in this space, or like, I guess, study this space. These are great names. Economist has been here for a long time. Franklin, I also met him in the Ghost Discord. He is a funny guy. He was on the podcast when he was Mr. 40 Apes. Like episode 7. Yeah, and now he's like 20 apes more. Very, very good trader,
Yeah.
very funny guy. But you also did another great thing, and I believe this was co-founded with your husband Peter. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. But the NFT BA. I know you said you love basketball. That is like something that I absolutely enjoy. Of course, being here in Kentucky, all we have is college basketball, so there's that. But the
Yeah.
NFT BA is, can you speak on what that is and what made you want to start that?
Yeah, so actually, at the very first, because Pete and I, my partner, so at the very beginning, BAYC gave out grants to people. They were like $5,000. So of course, real estates want a grant. that's how we were able to build our sandbox metaverse
I love
place.
that
And
name.
then Josh Ong, yeah, real estate. And then Josh Ong also won a grant. So his grant was so that he could travel from city to city and throw a Bored Ape meetup. Well,
Wow.
his was the first Bored Ape meetup ever. Um, the picture's been circulating like the last couple weeks. I don't know why people started liking it again, but here we are in Venice. It's Josh. It's me. It's like a lot of the LA apes, and Peter and Josh really hit it off, and they started talking about, because Peter has played tournaments his whole life. He's always been a baller, and he's like, I would really like to throw like a 3-on-3 or a 5-on-5. And Josh was like, well, let's make it happen. And so literally like July 30th, 2021, they decided we're going to create a basketball tournament. So they partnered up with Jasmine Maeda, who's the CEO of Round 21, who made the BAYC basketball. And they created NFTBA. So they're the co-founders. And I was like in the background, like, of course, I'm willing to support, do whatever it takes. So, from the time that we had the first event in Venice, so that was July, and then we had the event in October. And so Peter and I do most of the planning because, of course, everybody else has like kids, their real life to attend. So we did October Venice, we did New York, open gym, then we did Miami like 2 weeks later. So within 3 months, we had like 3 locations down, and then had in March the next year Venice, then New York again in June. So it was just started like going. And Peter was really, really immaculate in his planning. Just he's very meticulous, and I am like very meticulous when it comes to events. So I feel like it was just like a really good team in that way for us to like plan these types of events. And of course, Josh and Jasmine, always contribute as well. So I think maybe early this year, like in February or January. Oh yeah, it was for my birthday. He was like, I actually have been talking to the founders, and we discussed you being a co-owner because you've done so much work on this that maybe that's a role that you would like to take. And I just was like so floored and so excited because I see NFT BA as strictly like just a community thing that we enjoy running. We don't make any money off of it. All of the money that we have that we charge for the players goes right back in for photographers, videographers, the event, all of this stuff. We pay ourselves back because, we're fronting the USD money. So yeah, so for us, it's like, as long as we just break even, then we're going to continue to do it. And then the response from the community has been really positive and overwhelming in the sense that like people have been really generous with all of the like the 3-point contest NFTs. At first it was like a goats. There was like star catchers when star catchers was like at its peak. Like people have been super generous, giving us so many prizes. And I just really appreciate when everybody comes together and they're playing, because you can see it on the court that they're just like so happy to be outside and chilling with their friends and playing ball. And it's just been like one of the most rewarding things that I've done in NFT.
The fact that you're totally transparent about the fact that you're not making money on it, if that's not giving back to the NFT community as genuine as it can be, I don't know what is. Um, that's beautiful. I mean, for me, I'm 26 years old. I can tell you for the last 10 years, some of the most fun times I've ever had in my life is going with my friends and playing basketball and just being with my friends.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's not even about being good. It's just being with the people you care about. I can tell you every time that I've
right.
seen NFTBA, I've been like, damn, why am I not close enough to go play in that damn thing? I want to play in it so
Yeah,
bad.
come join us.
Man, every time I see it, I'm just like, dude, I love basketball. Like I said, big basketball state. So I saw you did that, and I mean, that's just another part of you giving back to the community, you being another, I guess, builder. I mean, you're always building something, and I know that you have projects yourself, right? Because I saw in your bio that you were the founder of Space Dust HQ. I don't.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
can you talk to us a little bit about that? What it's like being a founder? And did you? Because we spoke about this on another episode. Most people, or the people that have done it correctly, usually don't jump into a project right away. And I don't believe that you jumped into this right away. You've had a history in the NFT space, then you decided to start an NFT project. So, what was the thought process behind that? And can you walk us through why you wanted to become a founder?
Yeah, I think my situation is a little bit different, of course, than most project founders because a lot of them are very brave and they go into 10Ks or they go into like NFT tools or big things that require a lot of like community maintenance. And for me, in May of 2021, I started my first art collection called the Moonbeam Collection. And by the way, there are none for sale on secondary. It's like I just checked the other day and I was like shocked. But what so I'm a lucid dreamer and my lucid dreams always like begin a certain way and then I go out to space. And so this whole collection is based on that. And I think that really spoke to a lot of people, first of all, because most of us are like, you know, empaths or like really like empathetic, sympathetic people here in the space. So we have this like certain like psychic quality to us almost, but we're also insomniacs type thing. So I think like this whole collection really spoke to them. And the first person to buy it was Mike Lazar. And Mike Lazar was in the Ghost Discord. And Mike Lazar has since become like this crazy, amazing whale. And he totally deserves it because he's really worked hard for everything that he's done so far here. And it was just really humbling to like have him buy two of my pieces. And then once he bought two of my pieces, it just kind of like domino effect happened. And I think I did my last Moonbeam piece maybe like 6 or 7 months ago. And the reason why is because I'm starting to go into VR now with them. Um, so that's kind of how that started. And I like never really considered myself a visual artist necessarily, although I did go to school at USC for film. So, I did like stints at Sundance. I worked at Catalyst, Ashton Kutcher's network for a while. So, I did like things here and there. But ultimately I decided that like wasn't really what I wanted to do with my life. And I just had amassed like years and years worth of film photography. And so after I started doing the Moonbeam stuff, I put out like 4 or 5 collections and most of them sold out. And then I was like, okay, like there's an opportunity here, you know? So with Kiki, I decided to hit up D, who has been in the fashion industry for like 20, 30 years. He was like Fairfax District, LA, like, paved the way for like Supreme, Bobby Hundreds, all those guys. And in some cases we're in cohorts together, so he's already done all the brand stuff and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to do a fashion line with me and my Bored Ape? And to my absolute shock, he said yes. So we did a line of 8 items and it went really well. We did like a whole pre-sale on them. And I was like, now I want to do like either a billboard or like, he's like, why don't you do like some street art? He's like, I know the founder of NASA Crew, which at the time didn't hit me. Like I was uneducated in like graffiti, right? I was like, who's rich? The $64 million question. So he just like really opened my mind to art and the art world like in real life. And when I talked to him, we just really vibed and he like took me to this community space. And as we're like they're spray painting, these kids come up and they claim NASA Crew. And I was like, oh, claiming Massacre, huh? And then one of the guys was like, well, there's the founder. And they're like, oh, actually, no, we're like not NASA Crew, but we really like NASA Crew. And just like the interaction, and they got like his autograph, and then people would stop by to see like what was going on. And so like that act in itself just became like this other community event where people were like, what is BAYC? What is an NFT? I think at least 2 or 3 kids from that time onboarded. So like they're now artists in NFT. And when all of our like collaborations are coming to an end, we were like, well, is this really the end? And then we decided that it wasn't. Like, we all have a similar mission, which is to bring NFTs into real life and vice versa. Like, we want to bring their expertise of their real world and how the fashion and streetwear world, graffiti world work into NFT, as well as the opposite. You know, I onboarded them. I have carefully crafted how we launched all of their projects with Space Dust. And I just think it's extremely important. And it was extremely important for them to come in a way that, you know, wasn't sudden and abrupt and seemed like they just wanted to be here for, you know, their one solo project and bounce. Like, they had already been here with me and BYC, and they already kind of connected with the community, and they really love how much of the Wild West it is here. And they love how the gatekeeping is kind of minimum here. So we decided to do Space Dust, and Peter really led the charge for us to really be artists here, and him take care of, like, you know, a lot of the business ends of things, or like as far as like strategies. Like, we all get together, we just really vibe. And like, I mean, we like go anywhere from like smoking weed to like talking about conspiracy theories. And then going down like internet rabbit holes and being like, oh my God, didn't we just say that keyword? And we're like, we're high. You know, to like, you know, okay, we're going to like launch our first, you know, art show at Quantum. And it's just been like 1 year and 1 week after we formed, we were at Quantum, and we were just like, how the fuck did we get here? But it's just been a lot of people, you know, here that have really just believed in us. And not going to lie, a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights. I'm sure you remember the early days where we barely slept.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Them days were terrible. There were days where you were, I mean,
Yeah.
I was staying up. That's where I think I started sleeping on the floor. Like, and that sounds so funny to say, but like, I was at one point sleeping so close to my computer. It's like almost embarrassing to say. And my girlfriend would be like, "What are you?" I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, me being from the bed to the computer versus me being next to the computer." I said, "Them little couple of seconds are
It's
gonna
different.
matter." I was like, "It's really different.
It does.
It matters." And it's funny because, you know, you've done things like California Chronicles, Moonbeam Collection. I've looked into your little portfolio. You know, you've done not only photography. You know, you did say that you've done the visual artist. How many collections do you have total?
Oh, I think I have like 16 collections now or something like that. Um, yeah, it's been wild. Like, I actually didn't count until a couple of days ago, and I just was like, I might even have more, like across platforms. I'm not sure, but in each case, it's like, you know, I'm not trying to dilute what I've got going on. Like, I've stopped minting so much on the quantum contract. Like, I, you know, like, decided like these are the amount of photos that I'm going to have in this collection. But for me, like, to be on a quantum contract was like a really big deal as an artist, because I just like almost never thought as a photographer that I'd make it to that, you know.
Right.
And Super Chief has also been like super instrumental and really super supportive of everything. So I just really like, I just think this like place is so wild. Like, we were sleeping on the floor like a year ago because we didn't want to miss like you know, that one thing. And now it's like we're like, I hate to say OGs because there were people here like before us that were doing punks and all that, but
Yeah.
I feel like we really rode the wave of the next thing, you know, and I just think that we're just like so incredibly lucky.
No, definitely lucky. And I tell everyone every time, like, I definitely never thought that this was a space of like who was the most intelligent. You know, it was never about who had the deeper pockets, even because even there was at times you could have bought 30 of one project versus one BAYC. And one of those would have trumped that, and it's obviously the BAYC. So I mean, it's really crazy not only how far we've come, but the connections you can make in this space. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
crazy who's coming into the space now. But you look at a year ago, it was just the same people. Everyone was friends. You could, people knew who Dingaling was and Franklin. If you said a name, everyone knew it. It's really crazy. And now you mentioned some of these names. Some people, I mean, oh my goodness, Franklin now, Mr.
They don't
60
know.
Apes. Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't understand. Before,
Yeah.
they were really great people. And I mean, they still are. But it's been fun. It's been fun. I would still call us the OGs just because, I mean, we were there when it was the start of the community building. I mean, there were punks, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll leave the clubhouse era to the clubhouse kids. I wasn't there for that one.
Yeah.
But I do want to,
Me neither.
we speak about quantum a couple times. Can you tell us exactly what quantum is? I know you just recently did something with them in real life, and I thought it was so cool that, and I hope I don't get this name wrong. There are either one or two amazing women in the Cool Cats community that have used their Cool Cat IP for, it's like something in tonic. I don't want to get it.
Oh, Cat and Tonic.
Cat and
Yes.
tonic, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I saw that they were even there, and it's so cool because throughout
Yes.
this whole interview, I've really picked up that you are trying to help other people with the platforms that you've built yourself and the platforms that you've been given. You've always tried to uplift other artists, regardless who it is, and you always give back to those that supported you. So, to circle back, can we speak on what Quantum is, what you did there recently, and just how you've been helping people?
Yeah, sure. Quantum is a really interesting NFT. I don't know what to call it. It's not necessarily a project. It's an artist space, I would call it. Quantum began because Justin Aversano, who is a photographer for Twin Flames, who's the CEO, by the way. His photography really took off. And the reason why is because, first of all, it's beautiful photography, but also because there's a really always great story behind his photography. So his Twin Flames, of course, were about twins. And it told this short story about the connection between all these twins and then the photograph to match. So I think the other day when I talked about his floor, which I don't typically talk about, but just to give people an idea, it was like at 77 ETH floor. And I think it was that week the most expensive floor of any NFT that existed.
Yep.
So for, that was getting bought, and actively traded, not just like sitting at floor value, but like actively trading. So that really changed a lot for photography. And Quantum decided, it's him and a couple other people, and they decided to open up a brick and mortar in Santa Monica on the promenade. And that's not cheap,
No.
so you can imagine like how much money their curated drops, they've got different tiers of photography drops brought in. And it's a beautiful space. It's got all the updated tech that you could possibly imagine. And what really drew us, Space Dust, to Quantum was the fact that they had created this tech where you could basically like swipe with a credit card and create a custodial wallet, which is exactly like Dapper or Top Shot. So for us, we were like, well, we really want to throw our first art exhibit, and they were really into our concept. They loved our show, so we decided to invite mostly people that were normies, friends and family who had never been exposed to NFT before, because this was a really super easy way to onboard them. And then, of course, like the education aspect of like, when you get home, you have to write down your seed phrase, and all that afterwards, of course, still applies. So anybody who uses Quantum in that way should always keep that in mind, which we did. But we had 300 RSVPs, I want to say about 200 people in and out revolving. And we onboarded probably about 30 people, new people. Statistically speaking, like that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Because you've got all of these new people who had never really been exposed to NFTs before, and then really got to understand like, okay, I swipe, I do the QR code, it goes into my wallet, now I have to write the seed phrase. Oh, by the way, also I can transfer that to my OpenSea. So in all the technical senses, like that was really the partnership that we were looking for. artistically, this is the first time that Dee and Rich have shown their own art pieces, their own personal pieces before. And on top of that, we did the mural for Kiki, we did the Ghosts collab, and now Rich's mural, which is also like a foursquare of his NFTs that came into Quantum, exists on the patio wall at Quantum. So, if you buy his NFTs, like they're the exact replica of what you would see in real life. So it was really super special to like see them finally have a moment, because they've really worked not in the shadows, but I mean, these are guys who, like Jay-Z and Kanye, have worn their clothing and their sunglasses and their designs, and they never got their laurels. They never, were recognized for the amazing artists, textile artists that they are. And I just really saw this as an opportunity to really honor them, because they're from LA. This place is in LA. I wanted their friends and family to come. And in my own photography capsule for the show, I used Rich's fashion line that he repurposed in like the 90s and Y2K to recreate like 90s Y2K magazines. And then his son was one of my models. So it was like this crazy, like generational like thing. And I called his series Skywalker.
Oh, wow.
For obvious
Yeah.
reasons, so it, to me, like, it just kind of like, I don't know, like unfolded in this way. And it wasn't on purpose, but I do feel like once you're like on your right path, as I'm sure like all of these things kind of just come together. So the Quantum Show was like 1 year and 1 week since the date that we had created Space Dust. And I told them within 1 year, we're going to have an art show. And I was like, guys, I was a week late, but it still happened, right?
Yes. Let's go.
Yeah. So it's just been wild. Like, I'm so happy to see them here. And I think they've got like tons of stuff up their sleeves. So I'm excited to bring that into reality as well.
I don't think people understand like the magnitude that this is, because let me go on record for saying, uh, even though we are in a horrible market condition right now, we're seeing a lot of like shit posters, stuff like that. You have amazing people doing jobs like Shillen and Frank and all them, but you want to talk about number one in the space. Aversano is probably, the last time I checked on Inspect and all that good stuff. Yeah, these funny people on Twitter are number one, but you want to talk about the number one, I would probably say artist in the space is Aversano. Not only with
Yeah.
Twin Flames, he's literally built the highest floor on a collection that's actively trading. You talk about names like Aversano, Tyler Hobbs, Snowfro.
Mm-hmm.
Them are the same names that are synonymous with Beeple. And the real top. That's what I would consider the top tier of NFTs. So for you to be with Aversano, with Quantum, that is huge. So congratulations on that. I greatly applaud you. And that's what I mean by, you're a great
Thanks.
businesswoman, and you've done very good from the start, from real estates to the plots and the BAYC, the Top Shot. It's been amazing. And before I transition over to the 5 questions that I ask everyone, is there anything that you would like to mention, anything that I'm forgetting, or anyone that you would just like to shout out and thank throughout this journey that you've been in NFTs and Web3?
Yeah, I mean, like going a little bit back to like the lady apes. The fun part is that there are so many women apes out there, like Sarah Stargirl, Nini, Vera. Like there are tons of lady apes doing like really crazy, amazing things, but they're just like not as on the algorithm as other people. I probably post like way too much, so I might be like coming up a little bit more, but like that's just because I've got a lot going on, and I just really like connecting with people, and not just them, but I mean there's just like tons of people doing really big things that are even in quiet, especially like tech stuff that is really going to like take us much farther, and I just really appreciate them. I really feel like the tech aspect of it has kind of gotten a little bit lost with like all of like the ship posting, all of like the events, the this, the that, and I just feel like one day we're going to wake up and we're going to be like, holy shit, like, where did this like tech thing come from? Like, even like, I don't know if this actually happened. I've yet to read it, but I got excited when I read it. That platform that was trying to take away creator royalties. I think Tyler Hobbs wrote them out of the contract, or that's what I was like gleaning today. And I'm like, this is the kind of stuff like creators are going to start being smarter about things. Like, if you're going to cut my royalties, then I'm just going to cut you off from, you selling my shit at all. And
That's
it's like,
crazy.
and that's kind of like the stuff that I'm like looking forward to as well. Like, not just the art, not just the community, but the tech where we could like preserve ourselves as artists, as creators. If somebody steals, a portion of your music or your podcast and tries to place it somewhere else, like the code will tell it no. These
Exactly.
are like important things. So for me, like, that's where I'm at. And I'm just thankful to you too, that you even care about anything that I'm saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's the common misconception in this space, is that like people just feel like if you're not the number one shit poster, or you're not the number one of whatever it is, then you have no use. And I mean, the podcast, the whole thing behind that is to help people learn about the others in the space that are doing great things. Like, people might not even, hopefully there's at least one person that listens to this and there's like, yo, I didn't know Swickie before this. I definitely need to go look into that. Or I didn't know about the NFTBA or Space Dust or none of that. So hopefully someone can listen to it. And it's so crazy you talk about the technology, because that definitely sounds like something that's realistic and that Tyler Hobbs would do. And for those that don't know, Tyler Hobbs
Yeah.
is the face behind Fidenza. But it's just like we had someone on here, a project called The Worm, and their whole thing is you kind of morally you send it to each other and you're not supposed to
Oh,
keep it.
yes. Yes. I
Well,
remember
well,
that.
someone
Yeah.
kept it and they were able to
Yeah.
go back to the code, call the code to where it took the picture off the NFT. So now that person just has a blank
Yeah.
NFT, no picture, no nothing. So imagine if,
No worm.
in the future, if someone was to steal Kiki or something, BAYC could just be like, you might have stole it, but there ain't no picture there. We're taking it off. That's just crazy
Right.
technology.
Right.
That's just nuts. So anyone listening, definitely listen. I mean, look into Swickie. Look at what she's doing. She's given a lot of people a
Oh,
platform.
thanks.
She's a very kind woman, very humble, and a great businesswoman. I want to jump over into the 5 questions. A couple of them are easy, a couple of them are
Sure.
hard. Number 1 is always a little difficult, but easy. What is the most important thing to you in your life?
The most important to me, hands down, is my family. There's nothing that comes close. There's nothing I wouldn't do. Web3 is great, NFTs are great, but if my family needed me, I'd leave it all behind in one heartbeat.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've said it time and time again that
Yeah.
it's fun here. I've met amazing people, connections that I hope I have forever. But if at any time we were going down, or something really happened and all the NFTs needed to go, then they're going. There ain't nothing stopping
They're
me.
gone. Yeah.
They're gone. It's that simple. Number 2 would be, what is an obstacle that you have overcome that has helped you get to where you are today, and that can be in the real world or Web3.
Definitely. An obstacle that I've overcome, I think I'm going to go with probably like self-confidence. I really had a lot of problems with my self-confidence. And a lot of it, I think, had to do with, comparing myself and being a crazy perfectionist. I call myself a recovering perfectionist. And, a lot of it were things that happened to me externally, but a lot of it is just like stuff within yourself that, you have to face, or you have to kind of come to terms with. And what is that saying they always say? Like, the only way out is through. And I feel like doing that work and not running away from it has really made me a much better, more generous, kinder person. And, like, I just think that there's times where people have to really sit with themselves and be bored and like figure out like within themselves, like what they need to do to like level up. And I think without that, like, I definitely wouldn't have gotten as far as I am right now with Kiki. So
That's You're speaking right to me. And I still do have the biggest problem of like, I would always find myself comparing my success to someone else's. And I just had to learn like,
mhm.
yo, not everyone has the the same road. Not everyone is born the same way. There's going to be people that are far more successful than you, and you're going to be far more successful than other people. That's just the way that life goes. And I'm only 26, so I'm definitely trying to like grasp that and understand it. But it's still rough for me. But I applaud you greatly for saying that. I know that is some people won't even come out and speak on things like that. So I greatly applaud you for that. Number three would be when little easier when you leave the house to go out. What are at least three necessities that you have to bring with you? Now, of course, most people say phone and wallet. Is there anything special or specific that you bring with you, or you just keep it classy, simple?
I always bring my chapstick. My
Damn.
chapstick is always with me. If I can, I'll always bring my dog with me.
Okay. What kind of dog is it?
Yeah. She's, oh, you can't see her. She's back here. She's a Staffy German Husky mix.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's really pretty and she's such a sweet, gentle dog. And honestly, like I grew up with a lot of dogs. My uncle is a canine cop.
Oh,
He just like always had like dogs around too, like, and I never had my own. This is the first time that my life really allowed for it. And she's just so sweet and has made me much more social, like in real life.
hell yeah.
So yeah, yeah. A third thing, I don't know. I mean, I guess a third thing. I always bring my water bottle with me too. So those are
Perfect.
the three like necessities.
Perfect. I've always thought about switching that question around
Yeah.
because some people are just like, dude, what? Like I don't nothing. Like just my keys,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. But no, I love the dog. I love huskies for one. We've always been a pit bull family just because they're so beautiful. But my friend had three huskies, and man, and it's funny because it's like I don't know if it's like they can't bark or they're like different with barking, but like it's so funny when they
Yeah.
just sit around the house and howl and stuff, and it would drive him crazy. But I would laugh so much. Four would be, what is one thing that you want to do before you get too old?
One thing that I want to do before, oh, okay, that one's easy for me. I want to see the Northern Lights.
The northern.
I've never seen the Northern Lights.
Okay, now I'm gonna
And I want to
sound.
see it because of all the moonbeams, like, having all these dreams. In fact, when like NASA came out with like that telescope and all the pictures, people were tripping out. They're like, we've never seen these pictures before. And they were like comparing some of like the moonbeams to it. And I was like, I've been there before, I swear it.
So whenever like I'm gonna sound so so idiotic saying this. Can you remind me where the Northern Lights are, or where we would need to go to see the Northern Lights?
Yeah, somewhere like Norway,
Okay,
way up north where like the Aurora Borealis. Yeah.
come on now, Sniper. It's the Northern Lights. You got to think north. Okay,
Yeah,
I
the
should
Northern
see.
Lights.
That's
I mean,
the
you can see them from multiple places,
right,
actually.
right.
I think you could see them from like Alaska, Iceland. Yeah, Iceland, Norway. Yeah.
That's me smoking too much, not realizing that the Northern Lights are in the north. Come on now. But for the last question, if I gave you 200 ETH, but it had to be spent
Oh
on
shit.
NFTs, and this is good because you are someone who knows plenty of collections, plenty of people, and you have been in this space long enough to see many come and go. So if I gave you 200 ETH and it had to be spent on NFTs only, and you couldn't keep any extra,
Crap.
what are some big purchases or plays that you would make?
Okay. I have to just disclaim this by saying I would definitely buy more Bored Apes or the Yuga system because I feel like they're just a really solid team. I know that's kind of cheating, but if it weren't Bored Apes at all, this is a hard question because I've been actually mulling over this lately because I'm like, what are the things that are like worth it right now?
Exactly.
And I really feel like something like what is that? I actually had the art of seasons, and I sold it, but I would probably definitely buy back into that. I would definitely start making like really expensive art purchases.
Oh yes.
I would definitely want to pick up a Fidenza. I don't even know if they're under 200, but
Nobody
that's
says that.
something that,
Literally, nobody ever said. They're always like, "Oh, I'd
yeah,
pick up some cool cats. I'd pick up some doodles." I'm like, "Yo, what about like
no,
some twin flames or
no.
like something crazy that's actually worth 100 ETH? That whenever you pick it up, it's still going to sell for 100 ETH." No one ever says Fidenza or Aversano. Nobody. So it's crazy to hear you say
I
Fidenza.
think it's important. Because like someday, all of those institutions are going to be back in our like, wallets trying to like buy them. And it's not just to flip either, but like literally those are like pieces of history.
Yes, like cool,
So,
like cool
for
cats aren't
me,
going to be in a
yeah.
museum. Like I love them to death, but like these generative, I should say generative projects. Let me not just call anyone out because I love my cool cats. I truly believe that we go into the MoMA, we go into the Guggenheim. It is going to be people like Aversano, Tyler Hobbs, Snowfro. It's going to be people like that. It's not going to be the 10,000 profile pictures, and if it is randomly one of them, it's going to be
Right.
one of the legendaries or one of ones that's very slim to none that sold for 50, 60 ETH. So but and let
Right.
me say too, someone might have said Fidenza before this, so if anyone listens back to previous, like, you're a liar, I apologize, but yes, that's crazy.
But you know what's so funny? My first inkling when you asked me that was more to be like, I would take that $200 and give it to like Kenny Baden and Tyler Hobbs to see what they could do with it.
that's
Instead of me like buying something.
that's smart. I never thought about like
Yeah.
putting it into someone that does already make some absolutely crazy
Yeah.
art. I can only imagine being like, "Hey, Hobbs, I got 150 ETH for you. What can you make with that? What could
Do
you possibly
something.
do?
Yeah.
Like that's your base set. So let's see what you can make." I think he would come out and make something
Siobhan
crazy.
Wong.
Yeah, like
I know. Do you know Siobhan Wong?
I don't. Who is that?
She makes okay, I have one of her pieces. So she's also a quantum digital
Okay.
artist. She creates 3D models and she did this crazy, crazy project. I'm just shocked. Nobody like, I mean, it got like a lot of press, but then like not really after that. Her friend Lene took actual photographs. And then Siobhan came in and 3D modeled the face of her and Siobhan and Lene's faces from when they were younger to create all of these scenes. So it was like, what's real, what isn't? And so it's like a backdrop photograph, but then it's this little girl in different scenes. And I think, I want to say Singapore. If I'm wrong, it might be Hong Kong. But one of those cities, and just dropped this like 3D child face into these photographs, and it's super hyper realistic, and it just like blows my mind every time I see it. So like these are the types of artists I'd be like, hey, like I got 200 ETH, what can we do with this?
Like, what can we make with this? And that's what people
So
don't understand. I mean, that I did lose you on video, but that it's fine. It's crazy the amount of artists that are out here and that are building things like that, and people really just don't either know or they see it
yeah,
and just keep walking. It's like, dude, if you could only understand some of the crazy amount of talent that's really out here, you'd go
yeah,
and buy it. And it's not even about from a flipping aspect. It's like, you say you're here, that you love art. Here it is. Go pick up the great art that we have.
yeah.
But I mean, Swickie, we've went for an hour, and it's been such an honor to be able to speak with you. I want to be respectful of your time. So that's been the 5 questions. It's been an amazing talk. Stick around with me after this because I do got some stuff to tell you. But other than that, I would say that this is amazing. Is there anything that you want to leave with today?
I just really want to thank you for, even giving me the time. I am so grateful to you. And I know that you know a bunch of my friends. And so, that just warms my heart because I know we're like leading down the same paths. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. And I hope that I can continue to be a great builder like yourself, because that's the whole reason of this podcast, is to help others and hopefully continue to push other artists and people in the space doing great things. So everyone listening, I thank you so much. It's been another great week, another great guest, and we'll continue to have these every week, and hopefully we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary. So thank you so much, everyone, and we will be seeing you next week. Peace out.